Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens and our tiny farm. Today we're going to be planting some gorgeous roses out here in the Perennial cottage style cut flower garden. These roses are beautiful in the garden itself, and they're also beautiful in a vase. And there's also some lilies that I had started from bulb back in February, and they are ready to get out of their pots. So we're going to be planting them in here as well. This garden is only 2.5 years old. I was inspired by this one garden we visited a couple years ago. So every Christmas, my whole family rent an Airbnb, and we just get together at this Airbnb for a couple days over Christmas. And Christmas 2022, we rented this Airbnb, and they had the home completely decorated French country style. And the gardens were kind of like, I would say, French country cottage style as well. And I was so inspired by this garden. It was winter, nothing was blooming. It was in Michigan, so obviously nothing was in bloom. But just the bones of this garden, I was so inspired by it. I told Harley, I'm going home, I'm going to create a garden just like this. So fast forward to fall 2023, we finally decided on a spot to create this garden, and I wanted it to be at the entrance to our property. So this garden is out here by the road, and I have slowly and selectively been planting in here over the past 2 years to make sure that I really create the garden that I had in mind when we started out. This garden I was telling you about also had like fruit trees in it, and then it had different pathways going through it. It had different planting sections. So that is kind of what I've been trying to mirror in here. But first, I have been trying to go in here and just plant all of our taller shrubs, and hopefully by the end of the summer we can come in here and just fill it in with like smaller flowering things. But here is the roses that we are going to be planting in the garden today. First of all, we have our Bathsheba rose that is going on the arbor. Isn't this rose absolutely stunning? It was actually in bloom last week, and it grows 10 feet tall, which should definitely reach the top of this arbor. It does have quite a few buds on it, which will be very exciting to watch it bloom again. The lilies that we have, that we started from bulb, are the stargazer lilies, and they are a little brighter than the colors that I have been putting in here, but they smell so good, and I just love using them in cut flower arrangements. So we have 4 of the stargazer lily plants we are going to be putting in here today. I did have a Coco Loco rose at each corner of this pathway, and neither one of them made it through the winter. They were so pretty last summer, but we are going to replace them with Top Cream Rose is going to replace the Coco Loco roses. Aren't they so pretty? I can just imagine using this one in cut flower arrangements. So it does get 6 feet tall and 2 to 3 feet wide. So it's definitely going to fill in that spot. But oh my goodness, those blooms are so pretty. There was actually 2 rose shrubs in one container, and I just split them up between 2 containers. So now we have a rose for each side. There is a bud on it, and I was hoping it would be open by today so we could all see what this rose actually looks like, because I haven't seen it in bloom either. But it's supposed to be a very beautiful rose. I was reading up on it. Great for bouquets. And last but not least is a rose that I was so excited to find. So I had been reading about this rose in a rose book that I recently got. I'll have to share the book at the end with you guys in case you want to get it yourself. But this is Stephen Rouleau rose, and it is actually very similar in coloring. When as the buds start forming up, it's very similar in coloring to the Coco Loco rose. So this one is going in the garden as well. I don't know if you can hear the robins, poor things. This is the second year in a row that they have babies in this garden. and they're not very happy with me right now. So I thought we'd quickly get our things planted and leave them alone. But we have our first top cream rose ready to replace this Coco Loco rose. When I do go to plant roses, I like to use, it's just a shake and feed rose in bloom. It has kelp, earthworm castings, there is bone meal, feather meal in here. So it feeds above and below the surface of the soil. And then just the biotone starter fertilizer to give them the best start in their new home. So let's get everything planted, and then we are going to take a look at where everything has ended up at. All right, friends, everyone is tucked into their new home, but before we go take a peek at them, there is a peony that I did want to show to you. It's an Ito peony, and I often don't really like Ito peonies just because they don't have a scent. But oh my goodness, this one is worth it. I would plant many more of these in the garden. It's called Canary Brilliant. Isn't it so pretty? And I did want to give you a look into what is planted into the back of this garden because we didn't plant anything back in there today. I'm still trying to decide like what I'd like to finish out in here. So there is a Princess Charlene rose, there's a lilac, and there's lilies. And then just the same on the other side, there's apple trees in the back. So what I have been doing is slowly filling out underneath this apple tree behind the bench. I have been planting hellebores, and I think that'll be very pretty in spring. It'll bring spring color in here. So I'd like to get a couple more hellebores planted underneath that apple tree this year. But over here, we have our Bathsheba rose, and I'm just imagining those kind of peach colored blooms with the top cream roses growing in the background. Oh, what do you think, friends? Don't you think it'll be so pretty? These two front sections are planted up exactly the same way, except for some of the roses are a little bit different. Um, on this side, we do have the, Romantica Moonlight rose. Right behind this Thin Man Evergreen, we have the lilies that we planted today. And then there's a Cathedral Bells rose in here. There is some hydrangeas. I do want to bring at least one more hydrangea into each section this summer. But we planted the other lily right here, just off of the Bathsheba rose, and then it's backed up by the top cream rose. Oh my goodness. I just can't wait to share what this will look like later this summer when everything is in bloom. Okay, if we look at the front side of this garden, it is going to be very pretty this summer. So we do have an Earth Angel rose on each corner of the entrance of the garden, and then just off of that, I am going to pop the name up on the screen because it is a very beautiful rose, but I'm afraid I'll mispronounce the name for you guys. But back here, behind this Thin Man Evergreen, is where we planted the other lily. We have our Stephen Rouleau rose and the other lily, which is backed up again by the top cream rose. I still need to get everything watered in that we got planted today. But first, let's go look at that rose book I was telling you guys about. Now, I believe I had shared this book with you previously, but just in case you missed that video where I talked about it, this is Garden Roses by Grace Rose Farms. and you can get the book on Amazon, or I'm guessing probably most bookstores, but it is filled with beautiful inspiration. Shares like all of the information about every rose that they have on their farm. It is a book that is filled with just beautiful pictures and everything you need to know about roses. I keep this book in the living room close to the chair where I read a lot because it's a book that I often pick up. If you don't have it, I highly recommend adding it to your garden book library. Next week, I'm hoping that we can work on getting the porch decorated for summer, and with America's 250th birthday coming up, I was hoping that together we could just decorate it a little bit for that as well. There's so many June flowers that are starting to come into bloom. Maybe we'll just have to walk through the gardens together again. But thank you for spending some time today in the garden with me, friends. I hope it's been inspiring and brought a little bit of joy to your day. Have an amazing week, and I will see you right back here real soon.